Let's talk the color. One more thing, like, subscribe, and share. Come on, let's talk the color. Ooh.
Hey, good evening, everybody. It's me. It's Cutler here, the Let's Talk to Cutler broadcast, the Let's Talk to Cutler virtual book club, the Let's Talk to Cutler YouTube platform, the YouTube channel. This is the Let's Talk to Cutler moment when we get to spend these 1,800 seconds together. And it is my hope and my desire that I'm offering something that's inspirational, something that's motivational, something that might even challenge us. What kind of challenge, Cutler? It might challenge us to show up our best selves, even in the worst of situations. It challenges us to make sure that our character is intact. It challenges us to make sure that our integrity is level set and it's where it needs to be. So I know a lot of times we don't like the challenges. We're up for the motivation, we're up for the inspiration, but the challenges, they sometimes make us bristle just a bit. But I'm always up for the challenges because the challenges are what make me better. The challenges are what make me stronger. And speaking of the word better, we are on this trajectory. It is my hope that we are on this trajectory to the space that is called better. Better doesn't have to happen next week or next year, but better can happen right now as soon as you say to yourself, this is not as good as it gets. This is not the end all be all, but there's a space and a place where life is ever evolving, where the dynamics are working in my favor. The dynamics of life are working in my favor. I need to write that down. The dynamics of life are working in my favor. And sometimes we need to say that. I hope that in some small way I remind us of that each time we share this space, that the dynamics of life are working in my favor. You were not brought to this earth to be a loser. You were not brought to this earth or sent to this earth to succumb to the pressures of life. We were not directed here to drown in anything. So I want to let you know that the dynamics of life are working in your favor. Cutler, why would you say that? Because I stand on the principle that all things work together for my good. I really, really do. And for me, it is because I am in touch with the divine creator. I am connected to one who is greater than I am. So all things work together for my good. The good, the bad, or the ugly, it all has a way of working out and polishing me and sharpening me and making me stronger and making me better and making me victorious and making me successful. I live like that, you all. I believe that with all of my heart, mind, and soul. I didn't necessarily believe it or could appreciate that when I was younger, but I do now. I stand on the principle that the dynamics of life are working in my favor. How about that? I'm going to shout out the LTTC VIPs just a moment, but as I said that, it resonated with me so powerfully. The dynamics of life are working, and I'm writing it down. The dynamics of life are working. Hang on, y'all. I hope y'all are writing it down too. Working in my favor. Hey, listen, if this is your first time, do me a favor, go ahead and subscribe. And after you subscribe, click on the notification bell because it lets you know whenever I've gone live and whenever I've uploaded new content. How are you all doing? Let's do a check-in for just a moment. I see you over in the chat. Tell me how you're doing. Say good evening to everybody, but please let me know how you're doing, how things are going for you. We are moving toward the end of the first half of the year, so I hope things are well. I hope that you are realizing some of your goals, that you are realizing some of your dreams, some of your objectives, some of the things that you set in place at the beginning of the year. I hope that you are on a path to realizing them, on a path to realizing that victory is yours, that success is yours, all of that kind of stuff. That's what I'm here for. I want to talk this evening about as we are on that road and we're on that path, that we're not so easily influenced. And I'll tell you where that comes from in just a moment. But let me shout out the LTTC VIPs, those of you who made it over into the chat this evening. The first three that I saw are Annie Cutler, Tracy Johnson, Linda Martin, and in a close fourth, my good friend Paula D. So it's good to see all of you all. Come on over in the chat. Tell somebody that's come on, let's talk to Cutler, because today I want to talk about how to not be so easily influenced. What does that mean? It means learning how to stand in your own yes. Learning how to stand in your own yes, or or even learning how to stand in your own nose. You all talk to me, because I'm going to go over to the chat and see how you're doing, and then I'll come back and chat about that and incorporate that in some of our conversations this evening. Let's see, having some challenges, how we're trying to get through them. And I would hopefully, Tracy, I can say something, my friend, that will encourage you, will give you just a bit of inspiration and motivation, because as the dynamics of life are happening, I know I said that they're working in my favor, and sometimes it seems like life is lifing, and life is sometimes working against us. But I promise you, hang in there and keep on going, and things will ultimately work out for you good. But I know sometimes when we're in the throes of it, in the mix of it, it doesn't feel so good. So I want us all to hang in there. But again, here I want to talk about how to be able to stand in your own yes, or how to stand in your own no. I was recently in a conversation with some relatives where we were just merely talking about directions and how to get someplace, and what happens along the path, and what one would encounter. And they brought up a path, a route that I have taken for a number of years. Of course, I was firm about what happens along the path, what stores along the path, what tolls are or are not along the path. And there were others who just jumped in the conversation, and they were saying, oh yeah, you'll see this, or you'll see that, or you won't see that, and you won't see this. And I said, no. I know that path. And there are things in life that and you know them. Don't be so easily influenced by people who come in and try to tell you that the answer is yes when you know the answer is no. Or try to tell you that the answer is no when you know the answer is yes. Don't be so easily influenced. So learn how to stand in your own yes, or learn how to stand in your own no, without seeking buy-in or influence from so many people so often, so much of the time. It is okay to hear advice, to hear guidance, to seek advice and to seek guidance, but make sure that you're not so easily influenced by people who make sure that you're not so easily influenced by people who don't necessarily have your well-being at heart. What weight should their opinion carry in your life anyway? What weight does their opinion have to do with the things that you are seeking? Don't be so easily influenced by everybody. You just cannot, particularly as in the case of some of us are recognizing that when challenges come and when we are dealing with life, don't be so easily influenced by everybody. It happens because we are currently in this world where we are always bombarded. Well, we are bombarded with the message about the perfect life, and the images of what looks right, what looks ideal. We are bombarded with things that what we should say, and what we should wear, and what we should do, and what we should drive, and how we should live. All of that. And it is no wonder that so many of us sometimes feel lost. Some of us sometimes feel disconnected. We sometimes feel unsure of who we really are. That's because we're always bombarded with this ideal image, with this perfect image. And it does not only come from social media, but sometimes it can just come from looking at TV. Sometimes it could just come from listening to other people who always put their best foot forward, or just show you the shinier side of their life. So we can become disconnected. We can become unsure of who we are, and unsure of what we're saying, and unsure of what we're doing. But I want to talk this evening. I want to talk to us about not being so easily influenced, because the truth of the matter is this: being yourself is the most important thing in the world. Being yourself is the most important thing that you would ever do. Standing in your own truth, standing in your own yes, standing in your own no is the most important thing that you will ever do. It's what makes you you. It's what makes you unique. It's what makes you irreplaceable. It is what makes you special. It is what makes you one of a kind. And so one of the things that I've learned to do over life is to embrace who I am, and accept my own thoughts, and free myself from the burden of these external pressures and external influences. It comes with time. It comes when you know who you are. and you have a set of values that you're just not going to compromise. Don't be so easily influenced. And when you say to yourself, I'm not going to become so easily influenced, it makes you brave. It makes you courageous. It makes you empowered. It makes you capable of living the kind of life that's truly consistent with your values, your dreams, and your passions, your hopes, and your goals. I'm not going to be so easily influenced by everybody. And I decided a long time ago, and I think that's probably one of the things that made me unique as a youngster. I decided that I was not going to be so easily influenced by everybody. I was not going to be so easily influenced by the naysayers. I was not going to be so easily influenced by people whose behavior was not congruent with my hopes and not congruent with my dreams and not congruent with the things that I knew were good for me, that would propel me into a space that's called better. I knew then that I was not going to be so easily influenced. I've never been so easily influenced. Yeah, it sometimes made me cower in my loneliness. It made me cower in solitude. But I felt more comfortable being in my loneliness. If you can understand this and hear this, I felt more comfortable in my loneliness and in my solitude than I would have felt being influenced by something or somebody that caused me to do something that was not organically me. I'd rather be lonely than hypocritical to my character. I just said something, you all. I'd rather be lonely. I'd rather be alone than to be hypocritical to my character and hypocritical to my integrity. I may have to go back and watch this myself because I'm saying things that are just coming up out of my heart and my soul that I don't have time to write down. I'd rather be lonely and alone than hypocritical to my character and hypocritical to my integrity. And sometimes people know that. They know that sometimes we don't want to be alone. We don't want to be isolated. And so they will take advantage of that moment of vulnerability and they will get you saying, I'm going to influence them because if I don't influence them, then they're going to be in the minority. And if I don't influence them, then they're going to be sitting somewhere alone and they don't want to do that. So let me now manipulate them. See, people will manipulate you all of your life. And so you have to be careful that you don't allow yourself to become that person. So let's talk about that for just a moment. Because the question then becomes, Color, so how do I become myself? How do I make sure that I'm not easily influenced? How do I filter out the noise? How do I find and hear my own voice? How do I do that? I can tell you one of the first things that you can do is start with some kind of self-reflection. The first thing, the first step that you can take is to make sure that you carve out time to hear yourself. To reflect on who you are, to know what you believe, to know what you want, to know your hopes and your dreams. How many of us ever really carve out time to sit down and say, what do I want? What do I hope? What do I dream? What do I believe? How many of us really reflect on that? Or do you just do it in one passing thought? Let me see what's going on. Let's see someone. Okay, I hope I'm back on. I see the note that the broadcast stopped, but I hope I'm back on now. It didn't seem to stop from my end. But I'm talking about how do you become yourself? So just in case you missed it, the question is how not to be so easily influenced. And so how do I become myself? How do I filter out the noise and find my own voice? Thank you, Tracy. Good. I'm glad to know that I'm back. So the question is, how do I find my own voice? How do I become myself? How do I filter out the noise? And I was saying that one of the things that we need to do is to carve out some time for self-reflection. And I was asking how many of us really take the time to reflect on who we are, what we believe, what we want, what we hope, what we dream, or is life moving so fast we don't take the time to sit down and say, this is who I am. This is what I want. This is what I hope. This is what I believe. This is what I dream. This is what I expect. This is what I anticipate. This is what I know about myself. How many sit down and take time for self-reflection? Or are we so busy doing life and letting life do us until we miss the opportunity to sit down and do some self-reflection? I offer us, that is my offer this evening. I come offering us the power and the space to sit down and self-reflect and ask yourself, what are my values? What do I really believe? What do I really know? What do I really trust? What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? I'm trying to talk to you all about learning how to self-reflect because we don't do it. We get so caught up in the throes and the busyness of life until we forget to take time for us. And wouldn't it be a sad thing to live, and have never reflected on what's important to you? What are my core values? What are my strengths? Why is it that I have not taken the time to recognize my own strengths when other people will sit down and try to do their own assessment and evaluation of me? No, no, no. You don't get to assess and evaluate me without me having done an assessment or an evaluation of myself. I know what my strengths are. I know what my weaknesses are. I know what makes me happy. I know what are my passions. I know what are my interests. I know what are my goals. I know what are my hopes. We have to know those things. And I invite you to take the time to self-reflect and know all of those things about you. Because by taking the time to self-reflect, you can begin to discover your true self, your true identity, and the things that matter the most to you. If you don't know what matters the most to you, then you cannot matter to anybody else. You've got to know what matters to you. How else then can you make sure that you know yourself and that you filter out the noise? Embrace your uniqueness. We were all designed to be unique. I don't care if you are an identical twin or an identical triplet, it does not matter. You must learn to embrace your uniqueness. Stop trying to be everybody else. Stop being so much of a people pleaser. Stop being a chameleon and stop taking on the character and the traits of everybody else, so much so that you lose your own identity. Once you've identified your core values and your strengths and your passion, it's time to embrace your uniqueness. That's what makes you you. I'm so sick of seeing people trying to be everybody else until I don't know what in the world to do. And I know that was my country and Southern expressions all coming out in one. But I'm so sick and tired of seeing people trying to be everybody else, so much so until they forget that there's value in being them. Embrace your uniqueness. Embrace your individuality. This means that you accept the things that make you different from other people and make sure that you're proud of them. I'm glad that I don't think like everybody else. I'm glad that everybody else does not think like me. I'm glad that I don't have the same opinions as everybody else. I'm glad that everybody else does not have the same opinions of me. What a dull, boring world it would be if we all thought the same way. It is your difference that makes you special. Absolutely, Marissa. Be yourself and nobody else. And as you are being yourself and nobody else, you'll learn to let go of these external pressures and these external influences. One of the biggest barriers to being yourself is the pressure and the influence of other people. I'm telling you, peer pressure is still real. It does not matter whether you are 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, or 80. Peer pressure or some kind of peer pressure is still real. Because whether it is societal expectations, the opinions of friends and family, or even of social media, it's easy to feel like you need to conform and fit in. Happens all the time. We are sucked into this vacuum of thinking that I have to fit in, I have to conform. But the truth of the matter is this: trying to please other people or being someone that you're not, it will only leave you feeling unfulfilled and unhappy. Can I say that again? Trying to please other people or to be someone who you really are not will only leave you feeling unfulfilled and unhappy. It might offer some temporary satisfaction. I don't know. Sometimes our children go to school or our young people go to school, and they are so busy trying to take on the traits of other students and other young people until they forget to live in their own uniqueness. I don't have to be like anybody else. My study habits don't have to be like theirs unless they're straight A students, well, then that's a different thing. But my point is this: you don't have to be like everybody else. Stop trying to fit in. Stop trying to please other people. And it does not only happen when we're young and in our teenage lives, it happens when we're in our 20s and 30s and 40s and 50s, 60s, and even 70s. Let's learn how to let go of external pressures and learn how to focus on what feels right to you. Let's learn how to be ourselves. Stop being so easily influenced by other people. And as you're doing that, that means I get the opportunity. I was talking to a friend of mine today. It means that you get the opportunity to practice some self-care. It means you take care of yourself. You prioritize your own physical and mental and emotional well-being. That's self-care at its best. Self-care is not necessarily going on a vacation, hopping on a plane, although that's wonderful, but it means that you prioritize your physical well-being, your mental well-being, your emotional well-being, your financial well-being, your fiscal well-being, your spiritual well-being, your holistic well-being. It means that you're practicing and you're focusing on taking care of yourself. Take some time out to exercise. Can I tell y'all I went exercising today? Now listen, for the past few months, I've gone walking and my walking has not been intense as it has been, previously. But you all, I got out there today and I started walking. I put on my music and I was walking to my own pace, to a pace that I typically walk. And I had forgotten how intense it can be. But I tell you, I enjoyed it so much. I'm just sharing that to say, make sure that you take time to do these things. Exercise, healthy eating, sleep, practicing mindfulness, practicing thankfulness, practicing gratitude, meditating if you have to, or other self-care techniques. Make sure you do those things because they help you to reduce stress and they improve your overall well-being. I'm just suggesting that you practice self-care. I'm not even going to talk about reading books and literature and doing all that sort of stuff, because sometimes I talk about reading books and reading literature and it not necessarily with you all, but on some platforms, it just goes in one ear and goes out the other. But I'm telling you all, we need to make sure we understand that being yourself, and I want to say this because, again, remember I opened this broadcast and I said, my goal is to offer something that's inspirational, something that's motivational, something that's sometimes challenging. Here's what I know. Being yourself is not always easy. Being yourself is not always easy, but can I tell you this? It's worth it. It's worth every effort that you put forward to be yourself. Because when you embrace your own uniqueness, you let go of external pressure, you start practicing self-care. And when you do all of that stuff, you free yourself from the burden of trying to be somebody that you're not. You become brave. I said it earlier. You become empowered and you become capable of living the life that's truly filled with your values. It's true to who you are, true to your core values, true to what you know and believe about yourself. So I just want to say this. I just want to issue this challenge. Just go on out there and live. Go on out there and be organically you, be authentically you, be unapologetically you. Why would I say that? Because the world needs you. The world needs your unique perspective. The world needs the unique person that you are. The world needs you. And I'm not talking about a bigger world that's filled with billions and millions. I'm talking about the world where you participate in every day. The world of your family, the world of your coworkers, the world of your community, the world of your village, the world of your friends, the world of your civic organization, the world of your religious organization, the world of your spiritual organization. The world needs you. In all of your uniqueness, in all of your individuality. And sometimes we say, well, somebody else can do it, or somebody else thinks that, or I was thinking the same thing. Well, it doesn't matter whether you would think of the same thing, but maybe you think the same thing, but a different way. We cower in the fact, we cower in the space where we says, nobody wants to hear me, or I'm going to fumble if I try to say that. It's not going to make sense if I say it. Take the time and say it and complete what it is you have to say, because in your uniqueness, the world needs to hear you. Just stop being easily influenced by other people. Stand in your own yes. Stand in your own no. Know yourself. Be confident. Be sure of your thoughts. Be sure of your arguments. Be sure of your positions. Kind of like I was a few days ago when we were talking about that direction and that path and that route. And I said, listen, I'll say this. I'm not going to argue about it, but here's what I know. This is something that I had 40 years of experience with. That was a part of the conversation. And I just stood in it. I said, nope, I'm not being easily influenced. I'm not changing my mind because I know this to be true. Learn how to be sure of your thoughts. Learn how to be sure of your statements. Learn how to be sure of what it is you have to say. Learn how to be sure of your arguments. Learn how to be sure of your position. Don't be so easily influenced by other people. Can I tell you something else that may help you? If we take our time and we don't rush into decisions, we don't rush into conversations, but we do some background research, we ask questions, we consider different options, and we do our own research, and we're not so easily influenced by other people. Take the time to make sure you know what you know, and that way you can stand in your own yes. So when the proverbial winds are blowing, you stand in your own yes. You stand with all the conviction of who you are. Here's another way not to be so easily influenced. Set boundaries. What do you mean, Cutler? I mean, sometimes you have to say no to the things that don't align with your goals, that don't align with your values. Set boundaries. No, I'm not going to do that. Why not? Because that is not in alignment with my goals. That is not in alignment with my values. I have a friend, a very dear friend. Sometimes we get together, we just decide to sit and watch TV, or maybe if we decide to go to a movie, and she'll say, I'll tell you this, I don't want to see anything that's going to challenge my social values. I love her for that statement. I love her for saying it. I love her for giving that to me so I could take it and use it as well. But she'll say, I don't want to see anything that's going to challenge my set of social values. Statement she said to me so long ago. I adopted it and I took it as mine. Learn how to set boundaries. And again, I talked about learning how to reflect, but again, and then speaking of your uniqueness, it's okay. Learn how to embrace differences and say, you know what, that's just how you see it. That's how you see it. That's not how I see it. It's okay. Look, as you're reflecting on you, as you are taking that time to do self-reflection and learning your core values and your hopes and dreams and all of that, understand that there are differences between you and everybody else in the world. And you don't have to be the same. You don't have to be similar. Understand that. And then here's something that we don't do enough of. I challenge us to do this. Find the good. Try and see the positive in every situation. Try and see the positive. Find some good in the situations and the things that you go through. Try to find some good even in the things that challenge you, the things that would take you for a loop, that would take you for a tailspin. Try to find some good in those. Look for the good. Even if the good that you seek is not directly in your face, you have to say to yourself, as I said earlier, the dynamics of life are working in my favor. Excuse me, so much so that what I'm going through right now may not be a feel-good space. It may not be a moment of feeling good, but I have to have this hope and I have to have this assurance because that's what keeps me functioning. My hope and my assurance keeps me functioning that the dynamics of life are working in my favor. And that if I'm in the midst of bad, it's not going to be this way always. What does that do for me, Cutler? It helps me to stop and pause and exhale before I respond, because I've often said on this platform, and I will say it until the day that I stop breathing, it is how I respond that matters. That way I'm not so impulsive. That way, that way I'm not prone to say one thing and do something else. That way, I'm not so prone to move in a space that I will ultimately regret. Don't be so easily influenced by other people. I just want to share that with us. I want to offer us the power to stand in our own yes or our own no. or really our individuality and our uniqueness. I want to offer us the power to stand in a space where we're not so easily influenced by people who sometimes really don't mean us any good, by people who sometimes don't have our best interest at heart, by people who really are just in it for the moment to see what they can get out of it. And this is in all areas of life and in all ages of life. There are people who mean you no good, but they are there to manipulate for the moment so they can get what they can get. Stand in your individuality, in your uniqueness, and don't be so easily influenced. That's really all I have to say this evening. I hope I've said something that will cause us to think and to appreciate our core values. Mick Diner, thank you. Be yourself. Everyone else is taken. Thank you all for allowing me to really speak from my heart. Standing in your yes is something that I did strive to do as a youngster, and I've learned to do more as an adult. Thank you for allowing me to come into whatever space I've come into this evening. Let's do what we do, y'all. Let's keep building community. Let's keep maintaining connectivity. Keep your heads up. Keep your hopes up. Stay safe. Stay sane. Stay true to who you are. Live in your uniqueness, your beautiful uniqueness. Know from my heart to yours, there is and always will be so much love. I will see you all the next time I see you. And until then, tell somebody else, come on. And let's talk to Cutler. Good night, everybody.